Hi everyone. The velocity of a moving object is given by v of t equals 32 plus 4t meters per second. So we're going to answer these three questions. And the displacement function, the one we have to find here, is given by s of t, which is basically the antiderivative of v of t. So that's going to be v of t dt. Therefore, we need to take this is basically 32 plus 4t, and integrate that. Take the antiderivative. So your s of t is going to be, and just take the antiderivative of that, that's going to be 32t plus 4t, and it's to the 1, so you add 1, that equals 2, so you divide by 2. So this simplifies as 32t plus 2t squared, and then we're going to write plus c. Now, for a, it says when t is 0, s equals 16 meters. So s of 0 equals 16. So we want to find c. So we're going to set this to 16 equals 32 times 0 plus 2 times 0 t squared plus c. That goes away. Therefore, c is 16. So your displacement function is s of t equals 32t plus 2t squared plus 16. Now, we got to explain why the displacement of the object and its total distance traveled in the interval 0 to some t and t1 can both be represented by the definite integral here. And basically the reason that's true is because this is positive. So if we're starting with 0, if we just look at this and start with 0, v of 0 equals 32. And if we pick more positives, v of 1 is just going to be 36. V of 2 equals 40. So basically the distance is going to be constant in a positive direction. So there's not a positive distance and then a negative. So the velocity is always positive. So the velocity of t is always going to be positive. Now it show that the object is traveling in constant acceleration. So we kind of already have it here. We know that our final velocity equals your initial velocity plus a of t, your acceleration of t. So remember, the acceleration is actually meters per second squared. Our form is 32, which is our initial velocity, plus 4t. So our acceleration is 4. That's like your slope. So to show that it's traveling, what we could do is we're just going to do t equals 0. So with that, if t is 0, our velocity would equal 32 meters per second. If t equals 1, we'd get 36 meters per second. If t equals 2, that's going to be 40 meters per second, and so forth. T equals 3, you get 44 meters per second. And if I were to graph this, It has some graphs. So we have velocity here, meters per second. And then this is your time. What we can do is just graph this. We know at 0, we're going to 36. So I'll just go by 4s, 36, 40, 44, and so forth, 48. And we'll just let this be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you graph this, so we get this. What does 3 go to 44? 3 goes to 44. So 2 goes to 40. 1 goes to 36. So I labeled this wrong. So let's go back. So this is actually 32. Let me move it down a little bit. 32, 36, 40, and 44. All right, so initially at 0, it's 32. At 1, it's 36. At 2, it's 44. At 3, it's 44. At 40. And 4, it's at 48. So it'd be 48. And so you see this linear line. That's constant. So your velocity of t is positive here from t of 0 to some t 1. And in between here would be your t. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.